The sun burned over the endless golden dunes of the old Sahara. For hundreds of years, nothing had lived here except sand, wind, and time itself. But one day, something new stirred beneath the surface. Something that had been sleeping for longer than humanity could imagine. Far above, in a human research base built on a high ridge, a small team worked in silence. Dust clouds swirled around tall antennas and silver domes that reflected the bright sky. Inside the control room, Dr. Mira Halden, leader of the archaeological science team, stared at a monitor glowing with strange blue lines. "Run the scan again," she said calmly. Her voice carried both authority and curiosity. Her assistant, Jonas, nodded and typed quickly. The screen flickered as waves of energy data appeared again. The same result showed up, a rhythmic pulse deep underground, steady and powerful. It came every 7 minutes like a heartbeat from the earth. Mira leaned closer. "That's not a natural signal," she said. Jonas frowned. "No, ma'am. It's structured. It's organized." The others in the room exchanged nervous looks. The Sahara was home to many mysteries, but nothing like this had ever been recorded. Their mission was simple: to search for old ruins buried by time. But now they had found something far beyond that. Outside, the dig site looked like a camp from an old exploration movie. Tents, machines, and robotic diggers humming quietly. Mira walked out, the wind pushing against her scarf. She looked over the horizon, where the dunes shimmered like waves of gold. She had always believed that humanity's greatest treasures were not in the stars, but under their own feet. For centuries, humans had looked upward for answers, to the galaxies, to the unknown. But Mira believed the oldest truths of the universe might still rest beneath Earth's deserts, waiting for the right eyes to find them. As night came, the team gathered in the main tent. The air was cool, the stars bright. Mira sat beside a small holographic table showing a 3D map of the underground structure. "It's deep," said Jonas, pointing to the lowest part of the scan, almost 6 miles below. "The readings show metal walls and possibly a chamber of some kind." "Metal?" Mira repeated. "Down there? That can't be natural." "Not just metal," said another researcher, a young woman named Lena. "It's gold, pure gold." The tent went silent. Gold did not exist in such massive quantities anywhere naturally, and certainly not shaped into walls buried under miles of stone and sand. "Could it be a vault?" asked Lena quietly. "Something left by an ancient civilization?" Mira looked thoughtful. "Perhaps. But the signal is too clean, too modern. No human machine could survive untouched for thousands of years. Whatever it is, it's still active." The thought made everyone uneasy. Something alive, and or at least functional body, was pulsing far below them. That night, Mira could not sleep. The wind outside howled like an ancient spirit. She stepped out of her tent and looked toward the dig site, where machines blinked softly in the dark. In the distance, lightning flashed without thunder, silent storms over the dunes. She thought of old legends, of gods buried beneath the earth, of civilizations that vanished before the first pyramids were built. Her grandmother had told her stories of the gold that remembers. Mira used to laugh at them. But now, with that rhythmic signal echoing in her equipment, she wondered if there had been truth behind those old tales. The next morning, the drilling began. The team set up large sonic drills and energy cutters. Day and night they worked, removing layer after layer of rock and sand. Each mile deeper, the signal grew stronger and stranger. Jonas came running to Mira after the second day. "Dr. Halden, the signal changed." It's responding," she turned sharply. "Responding to what?" "To us," he said, breathless. "Every time we pulse our sonar, it echoes back in a different pattern. Like it's talking." Mira stared at the screen. The patterns on the monitor shifted like a heartbeat turning into a voice. The sound came through the speakers. Soft hums, rhythmic and almost musical. She whispered, "It's learning our frequency." Jonas looked uneasy. "Should we stop?" Mira shook her head. "No, keep going. If something intelligent is buried down there, we need to understand it." By the 5th day, the ground began to change color. The drills hit something solid and not rock, not metal, but a smooth surface shining faintly in the dim light. The material felt warm, almost alive. "Surface temperature is rising," Lena said nervously. 40 degrees. 50, 60. Mira placed her hand on the wall. It vibrated faintly, like it was breathing. The light under her glove pulsed in rhythm with the same pattern from the signal. Record everything, she ordered quietly. We might be standing at the entrance. The crew stepped back as the machines cleared the final layer. Slowly, an enormous doorway came into view. It was crafted from the same glowing material, covered in lines that shimmered like rivers of light. Symbols appeared and disappeared across its surface, shapes no one had ever seen. Mira's voice trembled slightly. This is not human work. The doorway stood 30 feet tall, smooth and perfect. At its center, a small symbol glowed brighter than the rest in a spiral of gold. Mira reached for it instinctively. Mira, wait, Jonas called, but her curiosity was stronger than fear. The moment her fingers touched the spiral, a low hum spread through the chamber. The sand trembled. Dust fell from the ceiling. The doorway began to shift. With a deep, slow sound, it opened. Beyond the door, light poured out. Not bright, but deep and golden, like the light of a setting sun trapped inside forever. The air was warm, filled with the faint smell of something ancient. Inside was a long passageway, walls lined with golden symbols that seemed to move when you looked away. Record everything, Mira said again, her voice steady but filled with awe. They stepped inside. The deeper they went, the more time seemed to lose meaning. Their watches slowed. The lights on their helmets flickered strangely. The air shimmered like water. At the end of the passage, they reached a vast chamber. Floating shapes hovered in the air, glowing softly. Holograms, but made of pure light. Each shape showed images that twisted and shifted. Cities made of glass, stars exploding in silence, planets forming and dying. It's showing history, whispered Lena, but not ours. Mira walked closer to one of the floating lights. It changed when she approached, showing figures, tall beings made of metal and light, their faces hidden behind golden masks. Who built this place? Jonas murmured. Mira's eyes widened. Maybe not who, but what? In the center of the chamber stood a pedestal, and on it a single golden cube pulsed gently. The same heartbeat pattern echoed again. Suddenly a voice filled the chamber. It was not human, yet it spoke in perfect clarity. Children of the younger star, it said. You have returned. The team froze. No one spoke. Mira's heart pounded. The cube's light grew brighter, spreading across the chamber like dawn breaking. The holograms moved faster, showing more scenes. Wars between stars, creatures of light building entire worlds, then disappearing into dust. Jonas whispered, It knows us. How can it know us? Mira stepped forward. We are humans. We come from the surface. Who are you? The voice answered softly, We are the memory of the architects. We built the bridge between time and life. You were our final creation. The one meant to survive. The chamber vibrated. The golden walls shimmered like living skin. Mira realized with growing awe that this place was not just a tomb, it was a machine. A machine that had been waiting for them, waiting for humanity. The cube pulsed again, faster now. The cycle ends when you remember what was lost, it said. Gold and eternity became one, and from that union you were born. The team stood in silence, surrounded by light and sound that no human had ever witnessed before. The tomb was no grave. It was a message across time itself, and it had finally been answered. Mira looked up, eyes shining with wonder and fear. We just found the beginning, she whispered. The cube's light dimmed slightly, as if acknowledging her, and in that moment, beneath the endless desert, humanity took its first step into the memory of eternity. The golden light that filled the chamber slowly faded into a soft glow. The air felt alive, humming with a faint vibration that touched the skin like invisible music. The team stood still, their eyes wide with wonder and disbelief. The cube at the center continued to pulse gently, as if it were breathing along with them. Dr. Mira Halden looked around carefully. The walls were covered with patterns that seemed to move, yet when she tried to focus, they froze into stillness. Every few seconds, shapes flickered across the golden surface. Stars, planets, waves of energy. The chamber itself looked endless, as though the space stretched far beyond its walls. Jonas stepped forward and whispered, It feels like we are inside something alive. Lena nodded, her voice trembling. Or maybe something that remembers. Mira took a deep breath and walked closer to the cube. We need to record everything, she said. Every movement, every sound, every image. The cube responded to her voice. Lines of light extended from it, forming floating symbols in the air. They looked like writing, but in no language any of them knew. Mira reached out and waved her hand through the glowing lines. Instead of fading, they reshaped themselves into patterns that looked like human DNA, rotating slowly in golden light. Lena gasped. "It's showing. Genetic code. Ours." The cube spoke again, its voice calm and echoing. "You are the echo of creation." The light that learned to build with hands. Jonas swallowed hard. "Is it talking to us? Or remembering something?" Mira said quietly. "Maybe both." Suddenly, the light around them brightened again. The chamber shifted. The floor seemed to vanish beneath their feet, replaced by floating platforms of gold. They could see stars and galaxies below them, spinning in silence. The illusion was perfect, like standing on the edge of the universe. Lena held onto Mira's arm. "Is this real?" Mira steadied her. "It's a projection, but it's built into the room's structure. This place isn't just a tomb. It's a library, a record of everything the builders wanted us to see." The cube's light changed from gold to white. Images appeared all around them, tall figures made of shining metal walking across alien worlds. Their faces were smooth with no eyes or mouths, only faint ripples of light. They built towers that reached the clouds and machines that shaped stars. The voice spoke again, softer now. "We were the architects. We made the seed that became you. We waited for your return." Jonas frowned. "Waited for us? But humanity didn't exist when this place was built." Mira looked thoughtful. "Maybe they predicted us. Or maybe they created something that led to us." The voice continued. "We built the heart of continuance, the bridge that connects matter and time. But we failed to understand the cost. Eternity took everything from us. The light dimmed and the images changed again. The shining figures fell silent, standing among ruins. Stars died around them. One by one, the golden beings turned into statues of light before fading into dust." Lena whispered, "They destroyed themselves." Mira nodded slowly. "Or they became trapped in their own creation." Jonas looked uneasy. "Dr. Halden, maybe we should go back to the surface and call the main station. This feels beyond our reach." But Mira's eyes were fixed on the cube. If this heart of continuance exists here, it could be the most important discovery in human history. We can't walk away now. The cube pulsed again, brighter this time. "The heart sleeps in the lower chamber. Only those who understand mortality may see it." The floor beneath them shifted once more. A spiral staircase appeared, glowing softly. It led downward into the darkness below. Mira turned to her team. "We've come this far. I need 2 volunteers to come with me. The rest will stay here and keep communication open." Jonas immediately said, "I'll go." Lena hesitated, then nodded. "Me too." The 3 of them descended carefully. The steps felt solid, but they were made of light, not metal or stone. The air grew warmer the deeper they went. Strange whispers filled the air. Not voices, but echoes, as though the walls were remembering sounds from other times. After what felt like hours, they reached a smaller chamber. It was round and completely silent. At the center stood a sphere, larger than a human, floating in midair. Its surface shone with the same gold as the walls, but it looked heavier, denser, as if it contained entire suns inside. Mira stepped closer. This must be it. The heart of continuance. The sphere pulsed once, then again. Each time the light grew stronger until it covered the chamber. The walls reflected images, people, faces, memories. Mira gasped as she saw herself among them, standing beside her father when she was a child, holding an old telescope under the night sky. Jonas whispered, "It's reading our minds." Lena shook her head. "No, it's showing us our memories. Our past." The heart spoke not aloud but directly into their minds. "You seek what you already hold. The wish to live beyond time. The dream to last forever. But eternity is a prison for those who love change." Mira felt her heartbeat quicken. "What are you?" "We are the mirror of creation," the voice said. "We made the architects." "They made you. And now you must decide if the light continues or fades." The air grew heavy. The golden light dimmed to a deep orange glow. Mira felt a strange pull, like gravity but softer. The heart seemed to draw them closer, not physically but emotionally. It felt warm, comforting, endless. Jonas took a step forward, eyes wide. "It's beautiful." Lena grabbed his arm. "Don't go near it. We don't know what it will do." He shook his head. "It's calling us," Mira raised her voice. "Jonas, stop!" But before she could reach him, he touched the surface of the sphere. Instantly, light filled the chamber, blinding and silent. Jonas froze, his body turning still as a statue. His eyes shone like gold for a moment. Then the light vanished and he stood motionless while Lena screamed, "Jonas, wake up!" Mira rushed forward, scanning him with her wrist device. His heartbeat was steady, but his eyes were empty, staring at nothing. The voice echoed again. "One has chosen to remain. The heart keeps what it is given." Lena covered her mouth, trembling. "It took him." Mira's voice shook. "No, it changed him. It made him part of itself." The heart glowed softly again, as if breathing peacefully. Mira whispered, "We need to go back. Now." They climbed back up the golden stairs as fast as they could. When they reached the main chamber again, the rest of the team was staring at the cube. It had changed. It now showed Jonas's face inside its golden surface, calm and silent. "Mira," said one of the technicians, "what happened down there?" The readings spiked for a full minute, then everything went quiet. Mira looked pale. "The heart took him. He's part of it now." The others stared at her in disbelief. Lena whispered, "It said only those who understand mortality could see it. Maybe it meant that only those who accept death can walk away." The cube's voice spoke again. "The heart is awake. The cycle begins anew. Choose your path, children of the younger star." The golden light began to rise through the chamber, flooding every corner. The walls shifted again, showing new images. This time of Earth itself, surrounded by stars, glowing brighter than ever. Mira felt a strange sense of calm as she watched. She realized that the tomb was not meant to trap anyone. It was built as a message, a warning, and a test. Humanity was being asked to decide what kind of species it wanted to become, to live forever or to live with meaning. As the light faded, the cube dimmed to a soft glow. Mira placed her hand on it gently. "We understand," she said. "We will not take what is not ours." The cube's glow pulsed once in reply, like a heartbeat. Then silence returned. Mira looked at her team, shaken, tired, but alive. "We go back to the surface," she said quietly. "We have seen enough for now." As they began the long climb upward, the tomb remained still behind them. The golden light dimmed until only the faint pulse of the cube remained, the slow, steady beat of something ancient waiting once more for the children of time to return. The climb back to the surface felt longer than before. The golden walls no longer glowed as brightly, and the air grew heavier with every step. Dr. Mira Halden led the way, her flashlight cutting through the dim tunnels. Behind her, Lena followed silently, still shaken by what had happened to Jonas. Every few minutes, Mira looked at her scanner. It showed strange fluctuations, spikes of energy that didn't match the earlier readings. The tomb was changing. The structure seemed alive, as if it was watching them leave. When they finally reached the upper chamber, the others were waiting anxiously. "Dr. Halden," said one of the technicians, "the main door sealed itself while you were gone." "We can't open it," Mira frowned. "Sealed how?" "We don't know." The whole wall turned solid again, like it was never open. Before Mira could respond, the floor beneath them rumbled softly. A low hum filled the air, deep and rhythmic like the heartbeat of a giant creature. The cube in the center of the room lit up once more, its glow stronger than before. The golden lines on the walls began to move, rearranging themselves into new patterns. Slowly, from the far end of the chamber, the golden metal shifted and took shape, forming a tall figure. The team stepped back in awe. The figure stood twice the height of a man, made of gold and shadow intertwined. Its surface shone like liquid metal and its eyes glowed with pale blue light. When it spoke, the voice was calm and deep, echoing through the chamber like the sound of 100 voices blended into one. "Children of the younger star," it said, "you have entered the chamber of continuance." Mira took a cautious step forward. "Are you the one who built this place?" "I am the guardian," it replied. "I was made to protect the heart and to judge those who seek it." Lena whispered to Mira, "Judge us?" "For what?" The guardian turned its glowing eyes toward them. "For your choice. You reached for eternity, and eternity has answered." Mira's voice was steady. "We didn't come for power. We came for understanding. Understanding leads to desire," the guardian said. "Desire leads to ruin. The architects once believed as you do. They wished to protect life by ending death. But in doing so, they ended all change. They created silence that never broke. Mira listened carefully. So they destroyed themselves? The Guardian's golden surface rippled like water. They became still. They lost the meaning of time. And now you stand where they fell. Lena took a deep breath. Then why leave this place for us to find? Because the story must continue, said the Guardian. The heart must be offered again and again until a creation chooses differently. The air shimmered. Around them, the walls came alive with glowing symbols. Scenes appeared. Not illusions this time, but moving images like memories carved into light. They showed the golden architects building worlds, shaping suns, and finally standing before the heart of continuance. Then came the moment of silence. The light in the images froze, and one by one the golden figures faded away. Only the heart remained pulsing in the empty chamber. Mira stared at it. They gave everything to this, the Guardian nodded. They believed that forever was peace, but forever without change is only emptiness. Mira felt a strange sadness. If they created humanity, then maybe we were meant to learn from their mistake. The Guardian looked at her for a long time. Then it said, perhaps that is why you still live. Suddenly, the cube in the center of the room brightened. Jonas's image appeared again, his face calm, eyes glowing faintly. Lena gasped, Jonas. But the Guardian raised its hand. He is not lost. He is part of the heart now, the living memory. He will not age, he will not fade, but he will never move again. Lena's eyes filled with tears. Can we bring him back? The Guardian shook its head slowly. Would you take from him what he chose? Mira spoke softly. He didn't choose it. He didn't understand. The Guardian's gaze turned toward her. And do you? Mira looked at the glowing cube. The golden light reflected in her eyes. I think I'm beginning to. The Guardian walked closer, each step echoing through the chamber. The heart was not built to give life without end. It was built to test those who believe they deserve it, Mira asked. Why test us? To see if creation can understand its own limits, the Guardian replied. To see if you can choose meaning over eternity. The team stood silent. The air around them grew thick, as if time itself had slowed down. Mira realized that every word from the Guardian carried weight, not just as speech, but as truth formed through ages. Lena looked frightened. Dr. Halden, maybe we should leave. We already lost Jonas. We don't belong here. But before Mira could answer, the walls flickered again. The golden chamber changed shape, transforming into a vast hall filled with mirrors of light. In each mirror, a reflection of Earth appeared. Oceans, cities, people. Mira stepped closer. In one reflection, she saw humanity 1,000 years in the future, shining cities, peace, long life. But in another mirror, she saw endless silence, a world frozen in time, where nothing aged and nothing grew. The Guardian pointed toward the mirrors. 2 paths, it said. One leads to eternal peace. The other leads to endless stillness. Which will you choose? Mira stared at the reflections. Isn't peace and stillness the same? The Guardian shook its head. Peace allows change. Stillness ends it. Lena looked confused. Then how do we choose? By understanding what you are, the Guardian said. You were made by those who forgot what it meant to end. You remember because you can die. You grow because you fade. Mira closed her eyes. We are human. We fight, we fail, we hope. Maybe that's what makes us different. The Guardian's eyes glowed brighter. Then show me. Show me what it means to be human. The chamber darkened suddenly. The mirrors vanished, replaced by swirling shadows. The Guardian's voice grew louder. This is the trial of continuance. If your heart holds truth, the tomb will open. If it does not, you will join the architects in silence. The shadows rushed forward, wrapping around them. Mira felt herself falling, though her feet never left the ground. She saw flashes and moments from her life. Her first discovery. Her friends. Her family. Jonas laughing before the mission. All of it spun around her like a storm. A voice whispered in her ear. Her own voice, but older. Do you want eternity, Mira? Or do you want tomorrow? She shouted into the void. I want to live. I want to feel every moment, even the pain. The darkness burst open. Golden light flooded the chamber again. The Guardian stood before her silent. Slowly it nodded. You understand, it said. You have chosen change over forever. The walls of the chamber trembled. The sealed doorway behind them began to open again, light pouring through the cracks. Lena looked around in wonder. It's letting us go. The Guardian turned its gaze toward the rising light. The heart will sleep once more. You have passed the test. Mira looked up. And Jonas? The guardian paused. He remains where he chose, but his memory will guide the heart until the next visitors come. Lena's voice was soft. How long will that be? Until time forgets itself, the guardian said. The light grew brighter, surrounding them in warmth. For a moment, Mira thought she saw the shapes of the architects standing among the glow. Silent watchers made of gold and light, fading slowly into the distance. The guardian's final words echoed through the chamber. Remember this, eternity is not the gift. It is the question, and you have answered. Then everything turned white. When Mira opened her eyes, she was lying near the entrance of the tomb. The wind howled softly across the dunes. The golden doorway behind them had vanished again, buried beneath fresh sand. Lena sat beside her, breathing heavily. We're back on the surface. Mira looked at the horizon where the sun was rising. We survived, she whispered. The desert looked calm, innocent, as if nothing had ever been disturbed. But Mira knew better. Deep below, the tomb still pulsed faintly, keeping its secrets, waiting for another age to ask the same question again. She stood slowly and looked at the sky. We'll tell them, she said. Not about power or gold, but about what we learned. Lena nodded. About what it means to be human. As they walked toward their camp, the first rays of sunlight turned the dunes into waves of fire. The sands whispered softly, carrying the faint hum of the tomb. The sound of eternity breathing beneath the earth, patient and silent. The desert wind swept across the camp, carrying fine golden sand that glittered in the early morning sun. Mira, Lena, and the rest of the research team gathered around the camp's central tent. Even after surviving the tomb's strange trials, the atmosphere was heavy with tension. Jonas's absence weighed on them like a shadow. No one had spoken about him directly since they returned to the surface. Mira sat at the small table, tracing the edge of her datapad. She replayed every detail from the chamber in her mind. The cube, the floating golden sphere, the guardian, and the echoes of the architect's memories. Humanity had been tested and they had passed, but the lessons they had learned were more profound than any of them could fully grasp. Lena broke the silence. Do you think Jonas understands now? Her voice was barely above a whisper. Mira shook her head. He didn't choose to become part of the heart, but I think... In some way he is helping. He will exist as memory, as knowledge. He is still part of this story. Lena's eyes filled with tears. It feels like we lost him, though. Mira placed her hand on Lena's shoulder. Maybe, but we gained something else, understanding. That is more important than eternity. The camp commander, Seren, stepped forward, frowning at the unreadable expressions on their faces. We've received orders from the council, he said. They want a full report. They'll want to know exactly what happened and what's down there. Mira looked at him carefully. Do you think they're ready for the truth? Seren shook his head. Not entirely. They want results, not questions about the meaning of life. Mira closed her eyes. The cube and the guardian's words echoed in her mind. Eternity is not the gift. It is the question, and you have answered. The team began planning the next steps cautiously. While the tomb itself was buried beneath miles of shifting sand, the knowledge they had gained, and the potential for unimaginable power, weighed heavily on every mind. Lena paced nervously. What if someone else finds it? What if the council decides to take the heart for themselves? Mira considered the thought. Humanity was curious by nature. Some would rush for the chance at immortality without understanding its cost. Then we must make sure they know the truth. The heart is not a treasure to be owned. It is a lesson to be learned. That night, Mira could not sleep. The desert sky was clear, stars stretching endlessly above the dunes. She stepped outside the tent, listening to the faint whistle of the wind. Somewhere deep below, the tomb pulsed with golden light, waiting patiently for the next age to question itself. She thought of the visions the guardian had shown them, futures of humanity with endless life, and futures frozen in eternal stillness. Both were frightening in their own ways, and she knew the choice was not hers alone. It was humanity's choice collectively, whether they would take what they did not deserve or accept the limits of mortality. The next morning, she gathered the team. We must decide how to handle this, she said. The council will ask questions. Others will want to exploit the tomb. We cannot let the heart fall into the wrong hands. Jonas's absence was a quiet reminder that some choices could not be reversed. Lena spoke hesitantly. Do we report everything? Or do we just report part of it? Maybe keep the rest secret? Mira sighed. Hiding knowledge is dangerous, but revealing too much is also dangerous. We must find balance, they debated for hours. Each scenario was weighed carefully. Revealing the tomb's location could bring endless temptation. Keeping it secret might prevent disaster, but at the cost of knowledge and progress. Finally, Mira stood. We cannot control everyone, but we can guide the choice. We will report the discovery in scientific terms, omitting the heart itself and the guardian, but we will preserve the knowledge we gained, the lessons about mortality, change, and the meaning of life. Humanity must learn from the architects, not repeat their mistakes. Lena nodded slowly. So we protect it. Without touching it, yes, Mira said. The tomb will remain buried for now, its power untouched. The choice will always exist, but humans are not ready to wield it fully. Maybe they never will be, but they can understand it. The days passed and the team packed up their equipment. They recorded every geological layer, every energy signature, every unusual structure they had found. Yet in every log, the true heart of the tomb, the glowing cube, the heart of continuance, the guardian, remained hidden. Only Mira, Lena, and a few trusted researchers knew its full truth. As they prepared to leave the desert, Mira took one last look at the shifting dunes. She imagined the tomb below, silent but alive, waiting. It was a reminder that even in human hands, knowledge was a test. The choice to seek power without understanding could destroy worlds. She turned to Lena. We have seen what eternity offers, and we chose life instead. That is our gift to humanity. Lena smiled faintly. Even with Jonas gone? Mira nodded. Especially with Jonas gone. He is part of the heart now. In a way, he continues to guide those who come after us. His choice was made, and we honor it by making ours. The team began their journey back to the council's main base. As their transport flew over the desert, the golden dunes stretched endlessly beneath them, hiding secrets older than stars. Mira stared out the window, thinking about the guardians, the architects, and the lessons they had imparted. Weeks later, the report reached the council. Scientists spoke of unusual energy readings in ancient structures, but the heart, the cube, and the guardian were left unmentioned. The council was fascinated but unaware of the true scope of what humanity had discovered. Mira watched the council meetings from her quarters, feeling a quiet satisfaction. The tomb's secret was safe. Humanity could continue to grow, explore, and learn, and perhaps one day be ready to face eternity itself. One evening, Mira returned to her private observatory. The stars stretched endlessly across the sky, and she felt a calm certainty. Humanity had survived the tomb's test, not because of power or greed, but because of their capacity to choose, to value life with all its limits and possibilities. Lena joined her, looking at the sky silently. Do you think anyone else will ever find the tomb? Mira shook her head. Not for a long time. The desert will hide it. But when they do, I hope they remember what we learned. Eternity is not a gift to be taken, but a question to be understood. Lena nodded. And humans? We are ready to answer that question? Mira smiled faintly. We already have, in our way. That night, as the wind whispered across the dunes, Mira felt a sense of connection, to the past, to the present, and to the future of her species. The tomb, the heart, the guardian. They were part of humanity now, not as tools or treasures, but as teachers. She thought of Jonas once more. His sacrifice was not in vain. In a way, he was alive, preserved in memory, a bridge between the lessons of the past and the potential of the future. And for the first time, Mira understood the full weight of what they had discovered. Knowledge without wisdom could destroy. Power without understanding could blind. But the choice to live fully, with courage, hope, and mortality, was humanity's greatest strength. The desert remained silent, but beneath the sands, the tomb pulsed softly, as if acknowledging the answer. Humanity had passed its first test, and the stars above seemed to shine a little brighter, as if reflecting the triumph of a species that understood the value of life, change, and choice. Mira knew that the decision of mortals would echo across centuries. One day the tomb might be rediscovered. One day humans might be tempted again. But for now the choice had been made, and humanity had chosen to remain human. The wind swept across the dunes one last time before night fell, carrying the silent pulse of the tomb beneath. And in that quiet moment, Dr. Mira Halden felt the truth of it. Eternity might exist, but life in all its fragile, fleeting beauty was the real treasure. The desert stretched endlessly beneath the morning sun, golden waves shifting with the wind. The research team's transport moved steadily across the dunes, leaving no trace of their passage. Dr. Mira Halden sat quietly, her mind returning to the tomb beneath the sands. Every detail, every memory of the Guardian, the heart of continuance and Jonas remained vivid. The knowledge they had gained weighed upon her like a secret treasure, immense, powerful, and dangerous if misused. Lena sat beside her, staring out of the window at the horizon. "Do you ever think about what could have happened if we hadn't made the right choice?" she asked softly. Mira considered the question. "Yes, but I also think about what could happen if humanity never learns from this. The tomb will wait. Its lessons are patient. Eternity is patient. Humans are not," Lena nodded. "We have to hope the next generations understand." The transport descended toward their main research base. From above, the desert appeared calm, but Mira knew the truth. Beneath the sand, the tomb pulsed with golden light, waiting, recording, remembering. It would wait for centuries, perhaps millennia, until someone else stumbled upon it. But when that time came, humanity would face the same test again. Back at the base, the team unloaded their equipment and began preparing their report for the Human Council. Their official logs contained the geological survey, energy readings, and the presence of an ancient metallic structure deep underground. But the true nature of the tomb, the golden cube, the heart of continuance, the Guardian, was left unmentioned. Only Mira, Lena, and a few trusted researchers carried that knowledge in their minds. In her private quarters that night, Mira reviewed the data one last time. Images of the floating cube, the glowing heart, and Jonas's preserved image flashed in her mind. She felt a strange mixture of grief and pride. Jonas had chosen to become part of the heart. It was a choice he had not fully understood, but in doing so, he had preserved a piece of humanity within the tomb. Mira opened her communicator and called Lena. "We need to document everything carefully," she said. "Not just the physical details, but what we learned. The lessons about mortality, choice, and change. Humanity must carry those lessons forward." Lena's voice was soft but determined. "We can do that. We can preserve the story without exposing the tomb itself." Days turned into weeks as the team finalized their report. The council received the findings with excitement and curiosity. They praised the team's discovery as the greatest archaeological find of the century. Ancient ruins, hidden chambers, and signs of advanced construction were discussed endlessly in meetings and publications. But none of them knew the full story, that the tomb was not simply a relic of the past, but a living testament to knowledge, choice, and the consequences of eternity. Mira often thought about the Guardian. It had been calm, patient, and immensely wise. Its words still echoed in her mind. Eternity is not the gift. It is the question. She realized that the Guardian was not merely a protector of the heart, but a teacher. Humanity had been given a rare opportunity, not to claim immortality, but to understand what it meant to live fully and to choose wisely. One evening, Mira returned to the observatory atop the base. The stars stretched across the sky, countless and brilliant. She thought about the visions of the future the Guardian had shown them. Worlds where humanity lived forever, frozen in unchanging perfection, and worlds where humans aged, fought, failed, and triumphed, filled with meaning because life had limits. Lena joined her silently. "Do you ever wonder if someone else will find the tomb?" Mira nodded. "Yes, but the desert will hide it. The sands shift, storms cover its traces. It will wait until humanity is ready, or until curiosity tempts someone to seek it without understanding." Lena shivered slightly. "I hope when that happens they remember us." "The lesson we learned," Mira smiled faintly. "They will. Even if they never know our names, our choice will echo through time. That is the legacy we leave. Not power, not gold, but understanding." The team continued their work, carefully integrating the lessons of the tomb into their research. They studied energy fields, ancient technology, and human evolution, but always with the principle that knowledge must be paired with wisdom. Humanity could grow, explore, and innovate, but it must never forget the cost of overreaching. Months later, Mira received a message from a distant orbital station. Sensors had detected unusual energy fluctuations deep within another desert region, signals faintly similar to what they had encountered before. Mira's heart quickened, but she remained calm. "We may not be the last to see it," she said to Lena. "The tomb is patient. Eternity waits." Lena looked concerned. "Do we go or let it remain hidden?" Mira considered the question carefully. "We prepare, not to claim it, but to guide those who come after. Humanity must always remember the heart is not a prize. It is a test." Back at the desert, the sand shifted over the ancient tomb, covering the golden doorway entirely. The wind carried no sound of the heartbeat that pulsed below, yet deep inside, the heart of continuance continued to glow softly. Jonas's preserved image remained within it, observing, waiting, remembering. The guardian rested patient and silent, its golden surface reflecting the light of an uncountable number of stars that stretched across time itself. In the distant cities, humanity carried on. They built, learned, and explored. They debated, created, and sometimes fell. Yet unknown to most, the tomb beneath the desert had planted a seed of understanding that would guide the species across centuries. It was a subtle influence, shaping decisions, encouraging wisdom, and reminding humans that the greatest power was not in living forever, but in living with purpose. Mira returned to the observatory frequently, gazing at the night sky. She often thought of the guardian and the architects. They had created something magnificent yet flawed, and through it, humanity had learned a vital lesson, that life, in its fleeting beauty, was more precious than immortality. Lena, by her side, quietly observed the stars with her. "Do you think we'll ever meet the guardian again?" she asked. Mira shook her head gently. "Perhaps. Or perhaps we'll see it in our choices reflected in future generations. Every time humanity chooses wisely, the guardian's purpose continues." The desert remained silent, but the tomb pulsed faintly beneath the sand. Time passed as it always did, but the heartbeat of eternity lingered there, a quiet reminder of the choice humanity had made, and the lessons it must carry forward. In their reports, in lectures, and in discussions across the scientific world, Mira and her team spoke of discovery, knowledge, and the wonders of human achievement. Yet the true story, the heart of continuance, the guardian, and the preserved memory of Jonas, remained a secret, safely held by those who understood its meaning, and so humanity moved forward. The stars above gleamed brighter than before, as though time itself acknowledged the courage and wisdom of the species below. Humanity had faced the gift of eternity and chosen life, fragile, fleeting, but infinitely meaningful. Mira stood one night in the observatory, the wind carrying the faint scent of distant deserts. She whispered softly, more to herself than anyone else, "We found eternity, and chose to remain human." The night sky seemed to shimmer in reply. Somewhere deep beneath the dunes, the tomb pulsed with a gentle light. Eternity waited patiently, recording every choice, every thought, every heartbeat. It would wait for centuries, perhaps millennia, until humanity was ready once more. And in that patient silence, Dr. Mira Halden understood something profound. The legacy of humans was not in gold or immortality, but in their ability to choose, to learn, and to live fully, with courage, with hope, and with the knowledge that every moment mattered. The tomb remained buried beneath the desert, silent but alive. Humanity, unaware of its full power, would one day reach for it again. But the lesson was clear, the truth enduring. The greatest treasure of all was not the heart of continuance, but the human spirit itself. Mira looked up at the stars one last time before sleep took her. The wind whispered across the dunes, carrying the heartbeat of the tomb, a quiet, patient reminder that eternity may exist. But life in all its fragile beauty was the true gift. And so, humanity's story continued, alive, imperfect, and endlessly human.